Good afternoon and welcome to Rubbin Minds. My name is Isabella Adediji. We start off today's show with a special. Hilda Bassey has been cooking a storm for 70 hours and still has a good 24 hours to go. Nigerians have come out in their droves to support this world-breaking record attempt. Enjoy this special we have of Nigerian chef Hilda Bassey.
I'm currently in the process of attempting to break an existing Guinness World Record.
Woo!
You know, so while setting a record in Nigeria, because it's never been done here before. And the woman that is currently holding the record now, a chef from India, was the first woman to actually break that record. Like long before now, it's been men. But then
we're out of time.
You know, Hilda is going to be breaking the record. I'd say cooking is something that I've always done. And even when I was a presenter, I still hosted cooking segments. I hosted a cooking segment on a breakfast show. I hosted my own cooking show. So some way, somehow, despite the fact that I had, you know, the talent or will I say the capacity to be a presenter, the part of me that is, you know, the cook and the chef didn't go away. So I just sort of married both of them together. But along the line, I transitioned into like full-time, like cooking. Yeah. I think for the longest time, going by what Chef Gibbs said as well, when we started out growing up, it was like, when our mothers were teaching us to cook, it was more about to sustain the home. They never really took the time to sort of explain that, you know, you can make money from this thing. For me, I saw my mother make money from cooking. My mother trained us, you know, from her cooking business. And, you know, somewhere along the line, I'm not also going to lie to you, I also saw that there's money in this thing. Do you understand? Just like while I was at it. But it also stems from the fact that there was a desire to live a certain way, and I knew that okay, this is what God has placed in my hands as well, so I need to find a way to, you know, make this as profitable as possible. So I had to see that it was possible to actually make money from it, and then find the ways that I can make money from it and then start. So I think when people get into the cooking business, there's so many things that they just start and then they don't understand, you know, pricing or costing. And if you're not costing effectively, there's no way you're going to be making profit. So your business might be sustainable, but then it's not profitable, so there's no growth. And that's one of the things I teach when I teach my classes as well. It's important to understand that you're in the business to make money. People are so scared to let their clients know that, oh, I'm cooking for you and I have to be paid, like I have to make a profit from this. So they are just trying to cook, but that's not how it works. You're not doing them a favor and they're not doing you a favor. You're providing a service. And just as a presenter or a doctor or, you know, a lawyer needs to get paid, you also need to get paid your work as well.
You see how much of a businesswoman she is.
No, she is.
She's talked about teaching. She's going to make money from teaching. She's going to make money from posting on social media. She's now going to make money from selling the food.
And so I always say this, that there's enough space in the sky for us all to fly. You know, I wouldn't say that men are coming to take over what we've already held down for the longest time. Like I said, back in the day when they were teaching us to hold down the kitchen, they were teaching it to us like, you know, to hold down your home. Men really go into it as professionals. I think that has been the thing. So maybe before now, or long before now, women weren't taking, you know, the title, the chef title, as a thing. It was more, I'm a great cook, I'm a homemaker. I used to champion I'm not a chef, I'm a cook. You understand me? So it's more that men sort of put it in the more like, you know, took the profession of it and now made it a whole thing. And then they are now, you know, men, they can make noise when they start something.
We're good at branding. You said it already, we're professionals.
Something that we've been doing, you know, for years, and we've been doing it effortlessly. Men will now just come and on the fire, maybe because their own is going like this. They will start,
it's called flambe.
Well, I'm guilty. I remember this one time I was frying onions. I had to put it on Snap. Husband material 1,000 yards.
So I think it's just more, I feel like now in this space that we are, we need to be more proud and vocal about what we're doing. There's nothing about cooking that is small. There's nothing about being a chef that is small. Whether you're a female chef or a male chef, you need to own it.
Is that why you're doing the cookathon?
I mean, that's one of the reasons why is, but you need to own it. You need to be loud and proud about it, because the truth of the matter is, we know a popular musician that, like, he drums his name in your ear, like he's the greatest, You need to let people know that what you're doing is not small. Even if 1 million people are doing it, there's something special about you, and there's a difference. So don't let it when you say, oh, men are not doing anything. Nobody can come and take it.
Yes, we wish Hilda Bassey all the best in that world-breaking attempt with her cookathon. All the best. Now we move to our entertainment interview. Our guest today is a bona fide superstar. He wears many hats. He's a content creator, an actor. He has a growing online audience who supports his craft, and he's also a nightlife specialist. Join me in welcoming Yhemo Lee to Rubbin Minds. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. So amazing to be here.
Well, happy to have you here. So tell us, how was this rise to fame? What's the journey been like going into the entertainment sector here in Nigeria?
First off, I have to say it has not been easy, but thankful for growth. I mean, I started from one state to another. As a matter of fact, that, at some point in life, tilted towards so many, forms of entertainment. Started off as I started off majorly as a content creator.
Okay.
And to be honest, not like I had a particular interest into content creating, because when I was in school, I was doing majorly events. So
you're the one that they come to for the best parties on campus.
Exactly, I was that guy, that go-to guy for parties. And as a matter of fact, from my 100-level days, we're already doing concerts ourselves, getting freshers together contributes 1,000 naira just that we can have a proper thing outside our hostels. So I feel like...
and when you were doing that, did it ever occur to you that this might actually be my career, not what I'm in school studying?
As a matter of fact, my mother wanted me to end up in the bank. Every mother wanted her son to be the 9-to-5 guy earning. So I just feel like before university was like the first time I really had space of my own. Like how do I put it? I was so free. I had freedom. So I felt like,
so you could
now
find
that I'm
your
not my mommy's
passion.
boy, I think let me try to do something else. So I just really was just doing a couple of that at the same time, schooling at the same time, reading my book. So it was after uni. I feel like at some point, the major question hits every graduate, like, what next?
What next?
Exactly.
Like, are you going to get that bank job and make mommy proud? When you decided to go into this nightlife, content creation, entertainment, was it met with support, or there was a bit of apprehension, like, are you going to make money from this?
I had no idea. I was just being optimistic and just hoping that, all decisions I was taking towards entertainment, I was going to get it right. And I'm just really grateful that at the end of the day, I mean, it's amazing. And when I started off content creating, it was hard because, as a matter of fact, you need big blogs to repost you and stuff like that. So I just really started with a little community of people that just really liked the way I was doing my content creating, because I was unlike every other content creator that has to do scripting. I was just basically
so you just
original.
Stayed on your own lane.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people will say that being big costs a lot of money, that you have to spend millions of naira, like when you're going for events, your hair, your makeup. I know for the ladies, stylists, even for the men, I can see that you have locks.
Me as well.
So do you spend millions, and do people spend millions in keeping up with the Joneses?
As a matter of fact, it gets to a stage where you really have to take care of yourself, and most times in the nightlife industry, how people perceive you really, really matters. I'm selling luxury to people.
So it doesn't mean you have to pull up in a G-Wagon, for example?
Yeah, not necessarily G-Wagon, but I mean, be presentable. I mean, let them see you, let them see reasons why they have to come to your space to do what they have to do. You don't have to make people feel like you're leeching or they're doing you a favor. Make it seem like you're rendering a service to them. So I'm a kind of person I take self-care seriously, and I naturally like to look good. So it was just pretty much very easy for me to like, be able to match up. But whether I'm doing entertainment or I'm not doing entertainment, I love to like, take care of myself, wear good stuff.
In this industry, will you subscribe to the belief that you have to fake it till you make it? So maybe you can't afford a certain lifestyle, you're faking it, or you're chasing clout till you get there. Is that something you've ever done, and do you see your colleagues doing that?
I don't really think it's fake it to you, because you can fake it and still never make it. So I see it as investing or putting in work into your growth. If you see taking a Prado to an event as being fake, even if I don't own a Prado, if I decide to appear in a Prado, simply means I'm renting it because I want to appear at that event in a Prado. I'm not faking it. I'm trying to live up to the standard where I want people to see me.
But if you take a picture next to the Prado and you post it, don't people assume that, okay, he has made it, that's his new car?
As a picture, it becomes foul play when there's a caption to it that says, maybe vibing in my new Prado or something like that. Take a picture in the cool Prado, post it on your page with a nice caption, you're gone. You're not telling anybody it's my Prado. As a matter of fact, we have rental services. So I feel like a lot of people fake it till they make it, but me, it doesn't work for me. I just put in work. What
about the clout chasing?
It depends on your career. Some people need clout to be up there. As a matter of fact, the influencing game it's a game of engagement. And we already know the way the industry works. You need a lot of engagement to stay up there as an influencer. Just few people are so lucky to have a preserved brand that doesn't have to go on clout. But a lot of people really have to ride on that wave. That's why many times I don't be judging people that, leave. It depends on the product and what you're benefiting from it. But I feel like it doesn't make sense if you're building on clout and it's not sustainable.
So the end justifies the means.
Exactly. As long as the end result is perfect and is on your advantage. Oh no.
Now let's look at this nightlife scenario. Say Lagos, for example, and I can say a few other cities, Abuja, maybe your Kano, your Owerri, your Port Harcourt. They have big nightlife scenes there. Yeah. But is that where it ends? Is there a viable industry across Nigeria for the nightlife?
Yeah, of course. I feel like the narrative I'm pushing and my approach towards the nightlife industry is I'm trying to institutionalize it. Like a lot of people feel like the nightlife is just where people go sit down. It's an industry of its own. We have a team of DJs, team of hype men, team of dancers, team of waiters, concierge, PRs. So it's a total industry on its own. So I feel like Lagos is the major market because of the standard that we have placed in Lagos. I've traveled outside the country and I can tell you that and the nightlife scene, Lagos is one, to stand for. And we're really, really,
You think it's comparable to other cities across the world?
As a matter of fact, we have amazing clubs like Bay Rock. Bay Rock is of so much standard that can compete anywhere in the world. So, yeah.
So your work, is it focused alone in Lagos, or do you have plans to expand it beyond Lagos and other cities?
As a matter of fact, I get club appearances everywhere in Lagos, even outside Lagos, outside Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, UK. I have a couple of club tours coming up in America too towards summer. So people just like the vibe I bring to the nightlife scene. If I'm in the club, you can barely know that I'm even working because I'm having maximum fun myself. So it's beyond Lagos. As a matter of fact, it's global.
So I know there are some people watching this and thinking, you know what, there's a career for me in nightlife. And they're seeing the end result. But we all know there's the behind the scenes.
Yes.
And in making it in an industry as competitive as the nightlife, I know a lot of people have seen, as we like to say, shege. They've seen the worst part of it in coming to it. So what advice do you have for them? And what are the days, what is it like on the days when things are not popping?
First off, I feel like every career has its own constraints and the major disadvantages of every business. The nightlife is very, very crucial. As a matter of fact, people have been doing nightlife 20, 30, 50 years before I got into the game. So the approach which you're giving to the business is going to determine how well you're going to grow in it. I'm less than 5 years in this. And I can tell you that my growth has been so massive because I was pretty much intentional about it. And at some point, I had to like drop other parts of my career. Like I wasn't doing much of influencing, and I focused majorly on it. Like,
would you say that you had some, big brothers, big sisters that helped you up some?
No.
So you've made it all on your own?
My big brother and my own big sister and my own. I started off nightlife as a baller, which simply means I patronized the market, And while I was patronizing, I was sensitizing myself as well. Like, okay, this place I'm sitting down, spending some couple of millions, drinking, having fun. Then I realized that this is not a sustainable work for me. I don't expect myself to pack all my money that I've saved up during the fancy days for years and beg you to club to spend the night or a week. So I made the decision that this path where I'm spending money, I need to make money from it. Like, I realized that...
It was an investment.
Exactly.
It wasn't just loud.
So I realized that when I'm in a space, someone else's club, and I'm having fun, I'm just posting on my socials, and people are like, "Hey, Millie, where's that? Where's that club?" Then I give them the name. In about 30 minutes, the club is full. So I just realized that I think I'm actually adding value, a lot of value to this space. Apart from spending from the club, people are here because of me. So I think let me just monetize it and let me see how they can turn up for me. And I started doing a few parties in the club and it was booming. I was like, okay.
What would you say has been the biggest lesson in this journey from starting in university to making it a career on its own?
I feel the first thing, you need to take the risk. There are some certain decisions that you make at some point in your life that you might feel like, am I making the mistake of my life? But I feel like if you don't try it, you will not even know if you're going to make it from it. So I see myself as a major risk taker. I take risks a lot. And I take consequences of my actions. I'm like,
so have there been times where you've spent a lot of money, invested in something, done a party, and then it's flopped?
Maybe one. Not like flopped, but my expectations were not as much as, while I was growing, I was trying so many things. Like, there's some parties that you shouldn't do on the sea and you take it to the beach house, and there's some parties that you need to do in the club. So I was basically testing a lot of stuff. So sometimes I get disappointment, but I feel like it's going. But I mean, right now, I feel like I'm good. I don't think I can throw a party that wouldn't sell out anymore.
Oh, okay. But what would you say about friends in this industry? You said you don't have any big brother or big sister, no godfather that helped you or godmother. But do you have friends? And
yes, I have. Actually, I have a partner. His name is Kubana White Lion. We sort of have the same approach to the business and we're like mine. So he's majorly my partner in the nightlife scene. I don't think I have any major godfather. I mean, I had people that spoken to me about the business. I have places I've worked like Kubana, but majorly I've been doing my thing myself. And with God, yes, God is the ultimate backup for everything we do in life. So
now let's move to your acting. I think the last time I saw you on screen was in Gangs of Lagos, and it was a non-speaking role. Were you aware of that?
Yeah, it was.
How were you? How was that performance like?
First off, it was shocking when I got the job. I mean, I got the message from the director herself, which is Jado Shiberu, and she was just like, "Hi, Yemi, I've been watching you for a couple of months now. And I'm shooting a big movie soon, and I think I have a fantastic role for you." I was like, wow. I mean, in some part of me, I did the whole acting career for like 3 years because it was really competitive, and I really wasn't ready to waste my resources in that scene. I'm like, okay. So for her to have called me, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to take up the challenge. And when I read the script, it was like a complete opposite of my personality. Like, I'm a very active person, so I'm expected to play a cool killer, like the coolest guy in the gangs that rarely talks. He only wants to like shoot and kill. Okay. My weapon in the scene could let you know that I was a dead killer.
So just by your presence, you were able to communicate so much. We're going to go on a quick break on Rubbin Minds. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Rubbin Minds. Just before the break, I had a conversation with Yhemo Lee. We looked at nightlife, we looked at acting, and of course his rise in influencing. But I believe I've saved the best for the last, Yhemo Lee, because I know that you've been posting your love life on social media. How has that been?
I don't know. I'm indifferent about it, but
So the haters are not coming, the babes are not sliding into the DMs. You're okay with that?
It's part of the business, and I just have to build myself through it. And just, as a matter of fact, it has been challenging because at some point, my fan base was majorly females, and you know how the industry can be. But I'm like, I wasn't ashamed of it, and
was that your decision, or your babe was like, no, you have to put me out there? I can't stay in the back.
It boils down to matching energy. She liked it, so I had to like.
Even at the expense of losing some of your fan base.
I didn't mind.
Wow. What would you say has been the biggest advice for you or lesson in avoiding scandals? Because we know in this industry there's a lot of name dropping, there's a lot of fakeness, people spending money in clubs, and you sit here, they've not even paid, and they're big names. So how have you been able to avoid scandal?
I'm a very, very careful person, and I try as much as possible not to do more than myself. I mean, I buy what I can afford, I drink what I can afford, and I make sure that I do not owe bills. In the nightlife industry, it's crazy when you owe too much, and so I make sure I'm a very contented person, and I just want to stay in my lane and do my thing. So I don't go for other people's property. I don't chase other people's girls. It's all the other way around for me. So
and have you ever had people, big names, that they just ride on their reputation, and at the end of the day they are owing, they're not paying?
It's crazy. I feel like the debt part of it is unavoidable in the business. As a matter of fact, it's part of the business. Because nightlife is crazy. Someone that is owing last month can have money next month and pay back. So we just find a way to really manage it. But for me to avoid the scandals, I make sure that I just stay in my lane and stay contented. I mean, people are looking for the slightest thing to put you out there to drag you. So before you want to drag me, I don't cut the rope. So you probably don't have chances to do that for me.
And finally, what next can we expect from you?
I'm going back into the acting scene. I mean, the reception and the love I got from Gang of Lagos was super amazing, and people said they want to see me more on the screen. Yhemo Lee, give us TV stuff, give me content. So I'm doing a couple of YouTube series later in the year, and I've shot about 4 or 5 movies after that, after Gang of Lagos. So I'm currently on a project with Bimba Ademoye too, and so you guys will see more of me in the Nollywood. Who knows? Maybe MVCA coming soon.
Okay. I think I'm on that too as well. I really enjoyed your performance in Gangs of Lagos, and I can't wait to see you express yourself through different roles.
Yes, you will.
Thank you very much, Yhemo Lee, for being our guest on Rubbin.
Thank you for having me. My honor. Thank you.
Now we're going to switch things up a bit. We all know that the month of May is characterized by many things. The beginning of the month, we had Workers' Day. And in about 15 days, we're going to have a new government, all things being equal. But a lot of Nigerians have questions on their mind, looking at some of the last-minute lastminute.com energy coming from this administration. We're seeing new policies. We're also seeing the request by President Muhammadu Buhari to the Senate to approve a World Bank loan in the tune of $800 million to support one of his initiatives. Again, we're also seeing the national census, which was approved, then it was cancelled, and then postponed indefinitely. So Nigerians have a lot of questions. What is the impact of all this policy vacillation, and what impact will the borrowing, the multiple debt profile have on the citizens of Nigeria, and the implications for the incoming administration? A lot to think about. And why now? Nigerians are asking. You've had 8 years. Why are we seeing so much energy in the last 15 days? To join me in this conversation, I'm joined by Ebenezer Wikina, and he's a policy expert. Welcome, Ebenezer, to Rubbin Minds. Now,
Thank you for having me.
Now, very quickly, what would you make of the Buhari administration? If you're going to rate it, what would you say the legacy of this administration has been?
Well, I mean, I feel that that's an interesting question. And if you ask that to many Nigerians, one underlying result is that the administration promised change, and we haven't seen the positive changes that we're all expecting across, as a young person, across, issues like unemployment, poverty, and quite a number of issues that Nigerians have been struggling with. So if we're to rate them based on their campaign promises from 2015 and 2019, I think that the administration did not deliver on its promise.
So what would you make of this last minute effort in terms of policies that are being drafted, in terms of even contracts that are being awarded? Nigerians will say, is this really the right time for this? Is this not creating an avenue for looting? And what implication will it have with the new administration coming in?
Yeah, so in very organized democracies, you have long-term plans, right? So plans are set out for 30, 20, 15 years ahead, and they're reviewed every 5 years. So whatever the administration that's coming in to do has in mind, all they do is to align their thoughts to the long-term plan. So everything is supposed to be planned. All of the last-minute approvals and changes and cancellations are not supposed, and this is not the first time. We often see that when governments are about to leave, they're often approving things quickly, trying to get things off their radar. And I think it doesn't create a situation for growth. There's no chance for economic growth, sustainable growth, because what are the chances that if the new administration comes in, they wouldn't just go back on everything that the previous government had put in, especially these last minute things, right? So I think that there's for those of us who work in the policy space, we know that there's something called the policy development process, which begins from, having conversations, going through the policy process, having input from citizenry, ensuring that civil society is carried along, ensuring that, even when the discussion goes to the National Assembly, there's an ongoing conversation, right? Such that when it gets to the point where something is approved, everyone feels like they are part of it. When, leaders jump on things and just overnight wake up and feel like they can start a policy without having any input from the citizenry who are employing them, then it does look like you're circumventing the policy process. So all of these last minute loans and approvals, I think, are very weird to me. And speaking as a young person, I think that it doesn't look good and doesn't tell good for our country.
Okay. So what would you say about the issue of looting? Do you believe that this contract will be supervised by the incoming government? Do you believe that these things will come up in the conversations during the handover, or once these contracts are awarded, that's it?
Well, who knows? Who knows? For me, I'm one issue that really affects me, I think, is the issue of the foreign debt. So in 2015, when this administration got into office, Nigeria's foreign debt profile was somewhere about $7.3 billion. Now it's over $40 billion. What have we spent over $33 billion on in the past 8 years? Our inflation has gone higher, unemployment has gone higher, there's higher insecurity, education is struggling. I mean, ASU has striked more times in the past 8 years than ever. So what exactly have we invested all that money in? People often say infrastructure, right? But it's really hard sometimes to pinpoint the exact things where these funds go to. So and again, I have a personal beef with some of these organizations like the World Bank and co, who know that this administration is leaving office, who know that our institutions are not strong enough, and are still giving $800 million to a government that has less than 2 weeks to leave, and expect that magic would happen. And again, we saw those loan documents. It will keep Nigeria indebted to 2043 or 2047. So all of these things, we need stronger institutions, right? And I think that these issues that have happened over the past few weeks have happened before. They've happened whenever anyone is living in the state level. And I think it reminds us that we need institutions that would be able to stand strong and protect the rights of Nigerians, protect the future of Nigerians, because all of the debts that we're being put into is putting people like me, people like, people who are in their 20s, children who are not even born, putting them in debt for the future. So why put posterity in debt for the future when we don't really have a clear-cut plan? I mean, if you want to collect debt to help ease the burden of subsidy, for example, Why not use that to invest in modular refineries? Why not use that to support, the ongoing refineries? I know that we're currently working on trying to upgrade our current refineries. Can't we fast track that? Can't we invest the money in that and make it faster, as opposed to sharing the money by hand, to several people?
So what would you?
And then at some point.
Sorry, I would like to know what the impact is. You said, this is going to impact the 20-year-olds, people who are unborn. How long do you think it's going to take Nigeria to recover? And what impact does it have on the daily lives of the Nigerian citizens? Because some would argue that when you get these loans, they are supposed to help those who are at a disadvantage. They're supposed to help, those who are in need. And like you said, the subsidy removal is going to impact a lot of the citizens. So what is the impact of this multiple debt profile on the average Nigerian citizen, and how long will it take for us to recover?
Yes, I mean, the major impact is that all of the money that our country makes would not be used for us. We would pretty much spend all of the money that the country is making on paying back years and years and years of debts, right? So if we're supposed to build a new road, all of the revenue that Nigeria generates from oil and all of our various products would then be used to service all of these loans, because again, some of these loans also have interest, right? So you then have to pay for the loan and pay as well for the interest. If you talk about giving the money to, so one of the questions I've had over a while, and I had this question during COVID, was that, so Nigeria has a social register, right? And that social register pretty much documents who in quotes, the poor people in Nigeria are. And, I've questioned the register a couple of times, because how were we able, we know that as a country, we do have a huge data challenge. How were we able to ascertain the people who are poor, and how did we go around disbursing the funds during COVID? Because we know that monies were given out during COVID, but if you do ask the ordinary Nigerian, at least I'm from River State, if I walk across River State now, across the streets and ask ordinary Nigerians, I'm sure I wouldn't even see up to one person out of 100,000 who would say they received any kinds of funds during that period. So when there's low integrity, when it's hard to show stewardship in the disposal of these kinds of funds, people wouldn't even trust. So, I mean, how do you track how many people you're going to share the $800 million to, and within which period? What parameters did you use to ascertain these people? Is it that they don't have jobs? Is it that they're living in certain regions? So I think all of these questions are left unanswered, and I think the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development, I think, needs to be able to look at this closely, and various administrations need to look at that. I think that the incoming
stronger institutions, a need for transparency and openness. Now let's take this to the state level. You've said that this is not what we're expecting in the last, say, 15 days of an administration. So not just at federal level, several states will be receiving new governors, a new administration. What should they be doing in these last 2 weeks?
First, I think that the handover process is usually a very busy process. As part of the work that I do at the NESG is currently working with various ministries, working, of course, with transition councils to see how to put together handover documents, right? So the handover process is very key. So taking time to take account of all that you've done, this is not the time to rush to do anything, because you had 8 years, right? So sit down, write down your handover notes, all of the various things that have been done, the areas that there are gaps, and the various, the challenges that you had, with recommendations for how you think the new government should be able to address that. If there are pending payments and contracts and, things that have been done within that period, it's best to pay them off, right? So try to fast track those kind of payments within that period, as opposed to dumping the new payments on the new administration that's going to come up. Also ensuring that, if there are any things that you need to do, like going around to meet certain people, thanking people for their support and time, engaging different stakeholders as well. That's something that, outgoing administrations often do, as opposed to trying to start new things that often will not take off from the ground. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give an example here. Deputy President of the Nigerian Senate, Ovie Omo-Agege, lauded the president for giving his approval for the establishment of Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, Kwale, Delta State. And he hopes that the new incoming administration will be able to build on this and ensure that there's a proper takeoff. Now, what are your thoughts on such ambitions and such last minute approvals for something that's going to impact the entire country? Because, I mean, this is a federal institution, and how can the citizens hold government accountable and say, okay, we're expecting this university? I mean, we've seen the effect of JAPA, especially on the medical profession. How can we ensure that these things are seen through and they're sustainable?
I always like to say what I said first. As part of my work over the past few years, I've been able to work with a couple of state governments through my previous role at Pinch Foundation, to support states to set up, long-term plans. Every country, every organization, every individual even that wants to be successful, they always say you need to have a plan. And those plans do not need to be limited to the 4-year, 8-year, tenures that's political office holders. There needs to be a long thing where each person can just come in and fit in whatever plan they have into that framework. So if we say Lagos State or Rivers State, for example, would have 10 million extra people based on migration, based on child birth rates. If we have that in 10 years, what are the schools we need to build? Where would they live? How many houses do we need to think about? How do we need to think about urban housing, urban planning? You need to think about schools and markets and stuff like that. So I think if we had that sort of plan, even if you approve something at the last minute, it wouldn't make much difference, because it means that the next guy who's going to come in will just fit into that long-term plan. Serious countries in the Middle East, I like to use the Middle East a lot, right? Nigeria had a 13-year head start on the Middle East in independence, in finding oil, but the Middle East had gone eons and years ahead of us because they had a plan. And they've been able to go through that plan systematically for every sector, and they're developing. It's not rocket science. So we've been doing things based on 1-point agenda, 2-point agenda. Some guy comes in and says, I have a point agenda. I want to focus on flyovers, for example, or I want to focus on schools. I want to focus on roads. But if you don't have a holistic plan, you would continue to have this situation where people are just doing things haphazardly, last minute, last day, first day, without going through a systematic. It needs to be structured, right? So I think the idea for a medical college is not bad, but what is the follow-through plan? Who's going to pay for it? How would it be funded? Where would we get the staff for it? So there needs to be structure around. That's why our political office holders need policy specialists to advise them to be able to think through everything and think around issues beyond just bold,
Thank
beautiful.
you, Ebenezer Wikina. Yes. I definitely believe that this new administration has their work cut out in terms of the policy direction that it's going to take to ensure that there's even development across Nigeria. Thank you again, Ebenezer Wikina, founder of Shapers, a policy expert, for your contributions on Rubbin Minds. We'll go on a quick break. Do join us again. To Rubbin Minds. Earlier on the show, we congratulated Hilda Bassey in her efforts at breaking the world record. We're going over very quickly to the Hilda Bassey Cookathon. So we're going to be joined by Noe Isibo Shegun Ojo, who's the project lead of the Hilda Bassey Cookathon.
Need to hurry up because I think I have to go. It's about to take a break.
We'll come back to that. And right now, we have in the studio with us a marriage and family life practitioner, Bridget Eleshin. Welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Now, we know the phenomenon of divorce is something that has been associated with our Western counterparts. It's not taboo as it is in Africa, but in recent times, it has become commonplace, and we're seeing the divorce rate literally skyrocketing. We all know people who are going through a divorce or who have been divorced. What would you say is the major cause of the divorce in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. It's divorce is rising globally, so that is a known fact now. And what I will say, I'll just use an acronym so that people at home can learn and say, okay, what can I do to avoid this? So I'll use the acronym LACKS, L-A-C-K-S. So the first is the lack of knowledge of self and the person you're getting married to and the institution called marriage. So it's very easy to get a marriage license now. People don't know themselves. We go to school for 6 years, primary school, go to school for, say, maybe another 6 years, secondary school, go to university to read the course of choice for maybe another 4 or 5 years. And then I just say, you're so beautiful. I love you. And in 3 months, we're in love and we want to get married. I don't know you. I don't even know myself. I don't know my strengths. I don't know my weakness. I don't know what the marriage institution entails. So that lack of knowledge of self, of the person you're getting married to, and of the institution and what it entails, they don't have it. Then the next is adultery and abuse. With social media, we won't blame social media. We'll blame some other things and we'll see that. So you look at people that at the end of the day do not understand that the institution of marriage shows that you should maintain your vows. So they start and they get into adultery, and then there's also abuse of the vows. Then you go to see character flaws, no commitment. Character flaws, your character is who you are. So how have you been trained? Sometimes they'll say, oh, is this person home trained? What? So a lot of people don't have good character. So you see that showing. There's no commitment. Most times it's for better for stay, for worse for go. Oh, I can't take this anymore. Oh, it doesn't make me happy. Oh, he's not doing this. Oh, he's not cooking for me. And they go. And then you see key flags that we all see and we don't address. We keep sweeping it under the carpet. I want to be a married woman. I want to be seen as a married...
Some people will say that he'll change. When I get in there, he'll change. Just give it some time. He'll change. I want to know your opinion on, say, the older generation, as well as the religious institutions in their influence on the marriages we see today.
They've done their bit, but I will still go back to parenting, because every person is a product of daddy and mommy university. How did your parents do marriage? So it's been proven, if you check through the research, most times when you do marriage right and you are a right model, your children will want to do marriage same way. Sometimes they will probably marry somebody that is not, in that space where they want to do marriage right, and things happen. Life happens. But we're saying daddy and mommy university has a role to play. So if you're coming from a dysfunctional home, marrying somebody that the home was functional and was working, you will have that drama. So the last S, the last, is spousal neglect. And then you also talk about solo work. People want to do things on their own. So if you met your parents doing solo work, your daddy does not say anything to your mom, she's just seen and not heard, you will bring the same thing to your home as a man. And then it depends on what you also saw with your parents.
I think that takes us to gender stereotypes. A lot of people grow up in traditional homes where they see the mom as the homemaker, the father as the breadwinner. And we are seeing that both are becoming breadwinners. And yet there's a huge responsibility. I mean, today is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. And you'll find, you'll find mothers who are taking on the role of homemaker as well as breadwinner. And for people who have been brought up in traditional homes, how do they reconcile with these new realities?
It's tough, but our world is changing. What we know traditionally is no longer what it used to be. Even marriage definition has changed. So we have to a certain extent, understand that we're partners in the marriage. We can actually contribute. There's nothing wrong. But where we have a problem, where I will have a problem with any man, is not knowing that I am traditionally responsible for providing. And then you are not providing the resources, you are not providing guidance, you are not providing help, you are not supporting. So if a woman is going to work and doing things and you just sit at home and laze around, that is a problem.
Now, in your experience, some people might be watching and maybe they're in the process of going through a divorce. Once you filed, can it be reversed, or is it there's no turning back?
I've seen people separated, divorced, coming back and getting married again. It depends on the parties involved. So once you tell yourself you can, where we draw the line most times is where abuse, especially verbal, physical abuse is involved. We're not saying divorce. Get help. Some people say we don't want people in our businesses. You must have people in your business, because when you were getting married, you called people into your business. They were there to celebrate you. You got somebody, a pastor, an imam, or anybody into your business to say, join us. So they must be involved as well. So it can be worked on. And I always tell people, adultery is also not a case or even abuse. When some people know better, they will do better. So we will ask people to get education and keep upgrading your knowledge. Marriage is a school you never really graduate from. My parents have been married for 51 years now. And believe you me, they still have drama. They still talk and have communication issues and co. That does not mean that they've not done well for themselves, but that's marriage.
That's marriage, something that we all will, for those who are married, will continue to learn in this school. And there will never be that graduation day. That's why it says, till death do us part. It's a lifelong learning adventure in marriage. Thank you very much, Bridget Eleshi, for sharing your views on divorce and marriage here on Rubbin Minds. I believe we'll try and connect with the Hilda Bassey Cookathon, and we'll see if we can still get, well, if we're unable to, we say our hearty congratulations to the hard work that Hilda Bassey is putting in. Over 70 hours with about 24 hours to go to break that world record. Congratulations in advance. And I want to wish all our mothers a happy Mother's Day. My name is Isabella Adediji. Thank you for joining us on Rubbin Minds.